I personally suggest that this be done through the universal law called the law of sevenfoldness. The law of sevenfoldness exists on the earth and will exist forever and in everything. For instance, in accordance with this law, there are in the white ray 7 independent colors. In every definite sound, there are 7 different independent tones. In every state of man, 7 different independent sensations. Further, every definite form can be made up of only 7 different dimensions. Every weight remains at rest on the earth only thanks to 7 reciprocal thrusts, and so on. Well then, of the knowledge now existing which we have personally attained, or which has reached us from times past, just that knowledge which we shall agree is useful for our remote descendants must be indicated in some way or other in the said human Afalkalna and Soljinoha, so that in the future it may be perceived by the pure reason of man by means of this great universal law. I repeat that the law of sevenfoldness will exist on the earth as long as the universe exists, and it will be seen and understood by men in all times as long as human thought exists on the earth. And it can therefore boldly be said that the knowledge indicated in this manner in the mentioned productions will exist also forever on the earth. And as regards the method itself, that is to say, the mode of transmission through this law, in my opinion, it can be actualized in the following way. In all the productions which we shall intentionally create on the basis of this law, for the purpose of transmitting to remote generations, we shall intentionally introduce certain also lawful inexactitudes. And in these lawful inexactitudes we shall place, by means available to us, the contents of some true knowledge or other, which is already in the possession of men of the present time. In any case, for the interpretation itself, or, as may be said, for the key to those inexactitudes in that great law, we shall further make in our productions something like a legomenism, and we shall secure its transmission from generation to generation through initiates of a special kind, whom we shall call initiates of art. And we shall call them so because the whole process of such a transmission of knowledge to remote generations through the law of sevenfoldness will not be natural, but artificial. And so, my highly accomplished and impartial colleagues, it must now be clear to you that if for some reason or other the information useful for our descendants concerning knowledge already attained by men about past events on the earth fails to reach them through genuine initiates, then, thanks to these new means of transmission which I've suggested, men of future generations will always be able to reflect upon and make clear to themselves, if not everything now already existing, then at least those particular fragments of the common knowledge already existing on the earth, which chance to reach them through these said productions of the hands of contemporary man, as well as through those various existing ceremonies in which, by means of this great law of sevenfoldness, and with the help of these artificial indications of ours, we shall now put what we wish. With these words, the great Akshak then concluded his report. Considerable excitement and noisy discussion followed his speech among all the members of the club of the adherents of legomenism, and the outcome of it was that they then and there unanimously decided to do as the great Akshak had suggested. A brief interval was then allowed for eating, after which they all assembled again, and the second general meeting of that day continued throughout the night. Well, the unanimous decision was then carried to begin the following day making what are called minia images, or, as the contemporary three-brained beings call them, models of various productions, to try to work out the possible and most suitable means of indication on the principles laid down by the great Akshar, and thereafter to bring these minia images or models of theirs to the club for exhibition and exposition to the other members. Within the following 2 days, many of them already began bringing the minia images they had made and showing them with the appropriate explanations, and they also began demonstrating every variety of those acts which beings of that planet had before occasionally performed in the process of their ordinary existence, and which they still manifest up till now. Among the number of the models they brought, and the various being manifestations they demonstrated, were combinations of different colors, forms, of various constructions, and buildings, the playing on various musical instruments, the singing of every kind of melody, and also the exact representation of various experiencings foreign to them, and so on and so forth. Shortly after, for the sake of convenience, the members of the club divided themselves into a number of groups, and each seventh part, which they called a day, of that definite period of time which they called a week, they devoted to the demonstration and exposition of their productions in one particular branch of knowledge. Here it is interesting to notice that this definite period of the flow of time, namely a week, has always been divided on your planet into 7 days, and this division was even made by the beings of the continent Atlantis, who expressed in it the same law of sevenfoldness, with which they were quite familiar. The days of the week were then on the continent Atlantis called as follows: 1. Adash Sikra. 2. Ivo Sikra. 3. Gevorg Sikra. 4. Mito Sikra. 5. Maiko Sikra. 6. Luko Sikra. 7. Sonia Sikra. These names were changed there many times, and at the present the beings there name the days of the week thus: 1. Monday. 2. Tuesday. 3. Wednesday. 4. Thursday. 5. Friday. 6. Saturday. 7. Sunday. Well then, as I have already told you, they then devoted each day of the week to the production of one or another specialty, either of their hands or of some other form of consciously designed being manifestation. Namely, Mondays they devoted to the first group, and this day was called the Day of Religious and Civil Ceremonies. Tuesdays were given over to the second group, and was called the Day of Architecture. Wednesday was called the Day of Painting. Thursday, the Day of Religious and Popular Dances.